Thank you for visiting our channel. Please like, share and subscribe for more exciting food videos. How to make the best roasted tomato soup for rich, bold flavor. Roasted tomato soup isn't your average tomato soup, it's a flavor upgrade. By roasting the tomatoes first, you unlock a sweet, smoky depth that can't be achieved with raw ingredients alone. The caramelization brings out their natural richness, creating a base that's both comforting and bold. It's the perfect balance of simple ingredients and refined taste, all in one bowl. The science and art of roasting tomatoes. Roasting tomatoes is the secret weapon behind the flavor-packed base of roasted tomato soup. It takes the natural freshness of tomatoes and transforms it into something layered, smoky, and irresistibly rich. The process isn't just about flavor either. Roasting also enhances the nutritional value of the tomatoes you use. Let's break down how this simple cooking technique works its magic. How roasting enhances flavor. When tomatoes roast, they develop bold, caramelized flavors thanks to the Maillard reaction. This is a chemical reaction between sugars and amino acids that happens when food is exposed to high heat. It's the reason roasted foods have that deep, golden brown color and a rich, toasty flavor. With tomatoes, this reaction pulls out their natural sweetness and gives them a slightly smoky edge that pairs perfectly with the soup's creamy texture. Think of it as turning up the volume on every flavor note they offer. During roasting, water evaporates from the tomatoes, concentrating their sugars and amplifying their taste. That's why you'll notice the fruit's tartness softening into something more balanced and sweet after roasting. It's almost like adding a pinch of salt to chocolate. It creates that ideal blend of sweet and savory. Nutritional benefits of roasting. Roasting tomatoes doesn't just improve how they taste, it can also make them even better for you. One of the key nutrients in tomatoes, lycopene, becomes more bioavailable when exposed to heat. Lycopene is a powerful antioxidant that's been linked to heart health and reducing inflammation. What does this mean for your soup? You're not just serving flavor, you're making a bowl packed with extra health benefits. And don't worry about losing vitamins. While extreme heat might slightly reduce some heat-sensitive nutrients like vitamin C, plenty of essential vitamins and minerals, like potassium and vitamin A, remain intact. It's a trade-off that works in your favor, especially since the roasting enhances other compounds, making the final dish more nutrient-rich. Choosing the right tomatoes for roasting. Not every tomato is ideal for roasting. Some varieties work better than others. For soups, you'll want tomatoes that have a dense, meaty flesh and fewer seeds to avoid excess water in your base. Here are some of the best options. Roma tomatoes. These are the go-to choice for roasting. Their flesh is thick, their flavor concentrated, and they hold up well in high heat without turning soggy. Vine-ripe tomatoes. These are a fantastic option when you're looking for a mix of sweetness and juiciness. They bring a robust, fresh flavor to your soup. Cherry tomatoes, for variety. If you want to add a slightly brighter, sweeter pop of flavor, sprinkle in some roasted cherry tomatoes. They agera beautifully and add a touch of complexity. When choosing your tomatoes, go for fresh, ripe ones with a vibrant color and firm texture. Overly watery or underripe tomatoes just won't deliver the same payoff after roasting. By knowing which tomatoes to use and understanding the science of roasting, you're setting yourself up for success in crafting a soup that's equal parts hearty and sophisticated. How to roast tomatoes for maximum flavor. Roasting tomatoes is where the magic happens, turning a humble ingredient into a showstopper. The heat intensifies their natural sweetness, adds a smoky complexity, and creates that unmistakable depth of flavor. Whether you're making soup, pasta sauce, or a simple side dish, Perfectly roasted tomatoes are the ultimate flavor booster. Here's everything you need to get it just right. Step-by-step tomato roasting instructions. Roasting tomatoes might sound simple, but getting the best flavor requires attention to a few key details. Follow these steps for perfectly roasted tomatoes every time. Preheat your oven. Start by setting your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit, 200 degrees Celsius. This is the sweet spot for roasting. It's hot enough to agar the tomatoes but not so hot that they dry out or burn. Pick a good baking sheet. Use a rimmed baking sheet to catch any juices that might escape during roasting. Line it with parchment paper for easy cleanup and to prevent sticking. Prepare your tomatoes. Wash your tomatoes thoroughly and pat them dry. If using larger varieties like Roma or Vine Ripe, cut them in half lengthwise. For cherry or grape tomatoes, you can leave them whole or slice them in half for a slightly quicker roast. Season generously. Place your tomatoes cut side up on the baking sheet. Drizzle with olive oil, about 1 to 2 tablespoons per pound of tomatoes. Sprinkle with kosher salt and freshly cracked black pepper. For extra flavor, consider adding a pinch of sugar, especially if your tomatoes are a bit tart. Fresh herbs like thyme, rosemary, or oregano. A few smashed garlic cloves tossed on the tray. Roast the tomatoes. Pop the tray in the oven and roast for 25 to 35 minutes. Keep an eye on them. You want the edges to be slightly charred, the skins wrinkled, and the flesh softened, but not dried out. Adjust the time based on the size of your tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes, 20 to 25 minutes. Roma/Vine Ripe tomatoes, 30 to 40 minutes. Cool and peel, optional. Once roasted, let the tomatoes cool slightly. If you don't want bits of skin in your finished dish, now's a good time to slip off the skins. They'll come off easily after roasting. Save the juices. Don't toss out the liquid gold that collects on the tray. Scrape it up with the tomatoes. It's packed with flavor and perfect for blending into soups or sauces. Tips for perfectly roasted tomatoes. Even though roasting is straightforward, a few missteps can keep your tomatoes from reaching their full potential. Use these tips to avoid common pitfalls and roast like a pro. Don't skimp on oil. Olive oil isn't just for taste, it helps the tomatoes agar by promoting even cooking. A light drizzle won't cut it. Make sure each tomato gets a good coating. Cut side up for larger tomatoes. By roasting larger tomatoes with the cut side facing up, you preserve their juices and prevent them from drying out. It also helps the seasoning stay in place. Spread them out. Crowding the tomatoes will steam them instead of roasting them. Leave space between each piece to allow the heat to circulate evenly. Avoid over-roasting. Blackened edges are fine, but you don't want the tomatoes to cross into burnt territory. It makes them bitter. Set a timer and resist the urge to crank up the heat for a faster cook time. Experiment with flavors. Don't be afraid to mix up your seasonings. Add a pinch of smoked paprika for an earthy kick, or a splash of balsamic vinegar halfway through roasting for a tangy sweet boost. Roast in batches if needed. If you're making soup for a crowd or need a big batch, roast your tomatoes in stages. Overcrowding your pan leads to uneven cooking, so give each tomato its space. Roasting tomatoes is all about coaxing out their best qualities. When done right, they'll emerge from the oven soft, caramelized, and bursting with flavor, a perfect base for your roasted tomato soup. That's it for part 1. Now you know the basics, but stay tuned for part 2, where we'll finish this soup off and take it to the next level. Thank you for watching. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe.